Hello everyone, my name is Roya and today I'm here to talk to you all about the books that I read in the latter half of January. I did have a really good reading month. I actually have read 14 books this month, which is really awesome. Most recently, what I read was Not Your Sidekick and Not Your Villain by C.B. Lee. These are the first two books out of, I think, just three in a series. I did start the third one, but I was not able to get far enough into it to be able to include it in this video yet. But basically, these books take place in a world where there are superheroes. It takes place like maybe 100 years into the future, kind of, and some things about the whole United States and the government and the geography and everything are a little bit different. Like cities are named different things, that type of stuff, but the states are pretty much the same names, that type of thing. So some stuff's the same. You can tell it's this world, but it's like a little bit far future, kind of. And basically, so there's superheroes and supervillains, and the villains are kind of just doing stupid stuff like this company is wasting too much water. I'm gonna plug up the water fountain. And then like a hero comes in and goes, stop, evil villain, and all that stuff. And it's just like it's really like just kind of silly. It's like a lot sillier than people really like think it is. And in the first book, Not Your Sidekick, we follow a girl named Jess. She's Chinese and Vietnamese. Her parents are superheroes, and so is her older sister. And she really, really always wanted to be a superhero, but she does not appear to have any powers. She basically, through a series of events, finds out just how rigged the whole heroes and villains thing actually is, and that it's mainly just an excuse to kind of like to kind of discourage anti-government type of stuff, because the villains are like being told to do this like anti-government stuff, and then the heroes are supposed to just come in and stop them, like, and it's all and so then it turns out that basically just, you know, the bad guys are not bad, the good guys are not good, like any of that stuff, and it's just really insane. And our main character is also bisexual, and she gets a girlfriend during this book, and the whole plot there is really, really awesome. And then in the second book, we follow her best friend Bells, who is a black trans boy, and he has powers that he didn't tell anybody about in the first book, basically. And I really liked this book almost as much as the first one. The only thing that I thought could have been a little bit better is that this book actually starts way like before the events of the first book, and it just tells a lot of the same stuff just from his point of view. And I think that some of that was not needed. It was kind of like one part of it was needed, but because it already started the story there, it went through all the rest of the stuff from his point of view, where we already knew what happened and everything. And so I felt like that kind of weakened the story a little bit. I think that the part that we really needed more, what could have just been told in flashback or something, and it could have just been like a prologue type of thing, that type of stuff. And then it could have like skipped ahead to where we actually needed to start the story from there. But overall, I really, really loved this book as well. And like I said, I've started the third one, and it's also really, really awesome. The only things that I did just not really get about this setting, though, I do have to say, is basically in this setting, and there's not really any particular reason why, because like most of the stuff in the setting, we're given a reason why it's that way, but one thing that's really never explained is that very few people have actual pets anymore, and animals do still exist. They do, they do mention that there are colonies of feral cats and stuff like that, but they mention that like hardly anyone actually has pets anymore, because instead people treat the robots that clean their houses as pets, basically, and they literally like take them to each other's houses and everything, like their dogs, essentially. And it's like super weird, and it's just not really explained why that's that way. Like, it seems so odd to me, and I just did not get that about the setting. Before that, I read Catfishing on Catnet and Chaos on Catnet by Naomi Kritzer. These are adult kind of not really sci-fi, but kind of speculative fiction-ish. Basically, our first book follows a girl named Steph. She's constantly been living her life on the run from her estranged father, who is stalking her and her mom hasn't really told her very much about what's going on with that at all. And her only refuge and her only constant throughout this whole ordeal that's been going on her whole life, and she's 16 now, is this online forum called Catnet, where so basically the people she talks to on there are the people she considers her friends the most and all of that. And then her father comes back into the picture, finds out where she is, catches up with her and her mom through a series of like crazy events that go on. And she finds out like everything actually becomes clear about what's going on, and she has to get away from him through the help of the people that she met and made friends with in the newest town that she's gotten to, and also her online friends from Catnet. And it's really insane. And in the second book, Chaos on Catnet, that whole plot line has been resolved, but there's a new one. Basically, starting in this one, she has moved to yet another town because now her and her mom have figured out what they're doing as far as her father goes. They're safe from him for now, so they're just going to actually stay somewhere permanently. So they move one more time to be in like a better place with a better school and all that other stuff. And she finds out that there are a series of different online games that are kind of getting people to do stuff in real life that are actually things that are like bad, but the people doing them don't have a clue. So it's stuff like, for instance, make an ice sculpture at this address out of snow that's there and blah blah blah, and then it turns out that it's something threatening to the people who, it happens to be like something threatening to the people who live in that house, that type of thing. So it's basically like there's an AI pitting people who play these different games against each other, and the people don't even know that they're part of it at all. And so it's part of this whole bigger picture that Steph and her friends have to figure out and deal with, and it's something like way bigger than them, and it's just really insane. And I loved this one too. It actually like really kind of shows how much people can be controlled if they don't know like what they're doing and all that stuff, and it's really creepy. But yeah, I absolutely loved the crap out of both of these books, and I gave them both 5 stars. I also read Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. This is about, this is basically, it's hard to kind of describe, but this is essentially a book that shows just how big of a picture racism plays in the United States. But it's not that it shows anything we didn't know. It's mostly the way in which it's shown that makes it so interesting. So this is told in the format of him telling his son all of this, and so the types of stuff that it says are not necessarily the same like wording that you would see in like just any book about race and all of that. So I really thought this was super interesting, and I would definitely really recommend it. Also read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This is about a true story. This is an autobiography about the true story of a girl who was forced into acting from a young age by her mother because her mother never got to be an actress, so she just like automatically basically makes her daughter do all this stuff and do these auditions and do stuff that she's clearly not comfortable with or anything. But like her mom really does not care, and her like literally her mom controls stuff like her diet and even like she even showers her, like she literally shampoos her hair even when she's like 16 and everything, and it's so weird. And so the kinds of stuff that she goes through before she even knows that it's abuse, like literally after her mother dies, she still doesn't realize for a while like how totally abnormal and abusive all the stuff that she went through actually was. Then I read Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. This is a really short book about basically a regressed society that's all Wild West-y, and it's definitely really awesome. It's really queer, and it's about some librarians. Ultimately, though, I felt like a lot was missing. because it was so short, I think it should have actually been longer in order to actually get more of an explanation and everything in there, but I did really like it. And finally, I read The League of Gentlewomen Witches. This is a romance book taking place in the Victorian era between a pirate and a witch, and these things are like commonplace in this setting. It's the Victorian era, but there are pirates and witches, and that's just normal in this, basically. And so I really did enjoy this book, but I thought that the romance happened way too fast, and we didn't really get enough of the characters together or anything before they're suddenly in love, and I'm like, okay, like, sure. And I did think that some of the plot could have used some more explanation, but overall I really enjoyed this book too. So overall, this was a really good reading month. This is everything that I read in the latter half of January. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you've read any of these and have any thoughts on them, please let me know in the comments, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.